And coming up in this episode, man, we got to talk about the mystery at Horns Island and this Nolan Wells tragedy. Something on Horns Island on July 4th happened to Nolan Wells, and it's a mystery because we don't have the answers. And we heard Nolan Wells' mom respond to Officer Brandon Tatum, and she gave him no response. She didn't give Brandon Tatum what he wanted, so she just didn't respond at all. And that's the best way you can disrespect somebody, by not responding at all when they constantly keep putting your name in their mouth. Now, on July 4th, Nolan Wells went out with a bunch of his friends that he thought was his friends. And regardless of what Nolan Wells was doing, drinking, or like Officer Tatum said, partaking in drugs, this kid did not deserve to die. And it's a mystery on what happened. Something happened to Nolan Wells on that day, and nobody's coming forward. And what I find kind of crazy is Warren had an interview with Officer Brandon Tatum. Now, you know, before interviews, behind the scenes, they always let you know the questions they're going to ask you. And they prepare you and they prep you for the interview. They didn't go into that interview blindly, and that wasn't off the rip. So don't believe nothing Officer Tatum says about that interview, that it was off the dome, it was off the fly, it was like freestyling, because it wasn't. He prepared Warren for that interview. That interview sound coerced. And the reason why I say it sounds coerced is because after the interview was done, Officer Brandon Tatum, he believed everything that Warren said. Now, what I find kind of ironic is that if there was no foul play involved, why did Warren's dad take out a $50,000 reward to find out who killed Nolan Wells? Don't y'all find that kind of ironic? Don't y'all find that kind of suspicious? If no foul play has happened, why would you take out a $50,000 reward? And then you come out with statements because Nolan Wells deserves and would want answers. His mother wants answers. And Officer Brandon Tatum, for everything that he's coming to through social media and through his YouTube content creation space, on what he's putting out there about, he got concrete evidence and he has sources that Nolan Wells was out there heavily drinking and partaking in cocaine use. Now, I've always said when a young Black African-American gets killed, or whoever it is, and they're African-American, they always do the smear campaign. They always talk about their past. They always try to bring up drug use, criminal history, and alcoholism. Nolan Wells had none of that. And I just find it kind of suspicious that on July 4th, with everything that was going on out there, a lot of partying, I don't care if he was drinking. I don't care if he was intoxicated. I don't care if he was partaking in drugs. He was the only one that never made it back to his loved ones. He's the only one that died. Do y'all find that kind of suspicious? And you go out there with a bunch of your so-called white friends, and then you have the CETO call that is a mystery. Because like Nolan Wells' mom said, There was coaches and other people out there that Nolan Wells knew. And Nolan Wells just signed to play collegiate football. And you have coaches out there that he spoke to around 2:30, 2:45 from Nolan Wells' mother's account that they're telling her that I spoke to Nolan and he wasn't intoxicated. But this is where things get a little dicey because Officer Brandon Tatum says he was intoxicated and partaking in cocaine. His sources have verified that. Who is Brandon Tatum's sources? Where is he getting his information from? And then you got the CETO call that happened around 6 o'clock. And they said that witnesses told Brandon Tatum that they seen Nolan Wells after 6 o'clock, after that call took place. And then the enhanced audio that is circulating around that we've listened to, that we've covered. It's a lot of things going on in that background. But Officer Tatum wants y'all to think that it had nothing to do with Nolan Wells. He wants y'all to believe that them kids was not panicking for that reason, that they never mentioned Nolan Wells' name. But the enhanced audio told us something different. Now, was it an accidental drowning? If so, somebody has to see when he went overboard. Also, the toxicology report, the autopsy report. They take the lungs, they take the neck, and they come back and his death is still undetermined. But the autopsy has been completed. And then there's visual evidence, like Nancy Grace showed you guys, and we showed you as well, on the pictures of the red ligature on the back of his brain, the back of his head, that suspects foul play was involved. Or you might say, oh, he fell down, hit his head, and went overboard. But if there's thousands of people out there, like Officer Brandon Tatum said when he went out to Horns Island to do his investigation and showing all this footage, talking about there's thousands of people around, somebody had to see something. So that's why I said there's a mystery at Horns Island. Nolan Wells' tragedy is an eye-opener. You can't trust everybody. We've seen on countless accounts that people go travel abroad with their friends and they never make it back to their loved ones. We saw the case of the young lady that went to Mexico with her friends and got beaten to death. Never made it back to her loved ones. And this is the same thing what Nolan Wells experienced. Went out with his friends to have a good time, never made it back. And his family just wants answers. Now, we've heard Officer Brandon Tatum say some things, and we heard Nolan Wells' mother respond to Brandon Tatum where she didn't give him a response. And that's like a slap in Brandon Tatum's face because she didn't address him as Officer Tatum. She said Brandon Tatum. He feels disrespected in that way. So ever since the sit down that Nolan Wells' mom had with Don Lemon, Officer Brandon Tatum has responded. That irritated the shit out of him. And everything that's going on, and like I said, with that call, people are trying to figure out, was he on Warren's boat? Was he on Bart's boat? There's been witnesses that come out and recant their statements. I didn't say this. The young lady saying that, oh, she had a conversation with Nolan Wells, but after I had a conversation, he left with Warren and Bart. Something ain't right. It's a mystery going on Horns Island. And it is daunting and haunting that we don't have the answers. But something on that day happened to Nolan Wells, and we know what happened. His body was washed up to sea 2 days later. And nobody saw nothing. Nobody saw nothing. If there's thousands of people out there on Horns Island, nobody saw nothing. And you can't make me believe that there's not some suspicion and foul play going on. Because if it was accidental, then people would be speaking up saying, hey, it was accidental. People wouldn't be panicking the way they panicking. We wouldn't have all these different accounts of people saying this and people saying that. Why is Officer Tatum the only one that seems that he has all the sources and getting all the answers, and he has actual factuals, and he has all the evidence? I find that kind of crazy. To me, it sounds like there was foul play. Sounds like it's a cover-up. That's just my personal opinion. And I just believe that that family deserves answers. Like I said, man, you can't trust everybody. And there's a mystery going on Horns Island, and nobody knows what happened. And that is diabolical. Y'all get down in the comment section.
I see everyone in the comment section, hashtag salute. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so you will know every time I drop a hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot, tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. And that will wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. Catch you on the next one. Deuces.